Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. We will start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam. Nam Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। All right, so we are going to discuss one of the less spoken chapters from Bhagavatam, 10th canto, number 78. But before we start, let us perform the invocation. So I will share. If you are interested, you can unmute and repeat. First, our obeisances to Sri Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami, and Sri Suta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishis. So today's topic will be connected to Sri Suta Goswami a little bit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudirayet
Tato Jayamudiraet
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya
Bhagavatyuttama Shloke
Bhagavatyuttama Shloke
Tir Bhavati Naishtiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Nandagopakumaraya
Nanda Gopakumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Thank you so much. All right. So we will be studying for the next few weeks the 78th chapter of 10th canto. And it is titled The Killing of Dantavakra. Viduratha and Romaharṣaṇa Suta. So Romaharṣaṇa Suta, Viduratha and Dantavakra. Now this is if you look at it, it's a fairly straightforward chapter. Lord Krishna kills two demons or two demoniac personalities, Dantavakra and Viduratha. And then there's a whole different transition happens to Balramji, who kills Romaharṣaṇa Suta. So we will, but now, so why this chapter is, this chapter has a very, very important significance. And I will try to bring out that significance over the next, or today. And then we will go into the details of that over the next few weeks. So there is a whole new chapter hidden within one word of this chapter. In the 15th verse of this chapter, there is one word. And that one word will unpack a whole new chapter, which is not part of Bhagavatam at all. So we will, and that is a very deep topic in our understanding of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So that is what makes this chapter very, very important. So it's actually a very important chapter for the devotees of Lord Krishna, though it is hidden. So that's why we have to depend on the commentaries of previous acharyas to understand these hidden topics. Okay. And that is why we perform Mangalacharan and we perform our glorification of the previous acharyas and seek blessings so that we can understand these hidden topics. So let's start. So today I don't have anything to share. My goal for today is to just speak on this chapter 78, 10.78, and hopefully just give an overview of this chapter, highlighting some important points. I'll go more or less verse by verse. And then for the next couple of weeks after that, I plan to go into some of the details from the commentaries of previous acharyas. So today I have mainly taken the topics from the verses itself, the verses themselves, which is the chapter, and two commentaries, which is Srila Sridhar Swami and the BBT commentary. The whole detailed version, which I was talking about, comes from mainly from the commentary of Sri Jiva Goswami. And Sri Jiva Goswami has hidden, or he brings out this hidden aspect. I will mention that. Okay. So there are three things in this chapter, as from the title, or as is evident from the title. The first is the killing of Dantavakra. So who is Dantavakra? So is it allowed to, are you allowed? Oh yeah, you're allowed to unmute. Makarand Prabhu was unmuting and speaking. Yesterday I had disabled the unmute, so I didn't know if it is still disabled. So who is Dantavakra? Anybody? No, nobody? He's a very famous demon in Bhagavatam. Nobody knows? So you have heard Jay and Vijay? And you have heard about Hiranyakashipu?
Yes.
Yeah. So Dantavakra is the reincarnation of Hiranyakashipu. So he is Vijaya, Jaya and Vijaya. So he is like the partner of Shishupal. You must have all heard about Shishupal. So Shishupal and Dantavakra, these are the two personalities who take birth third time. So they were cursed by the four Kumaras and to take three demoniac lives. So this is their third demoniac life. One of them has already been killed, Shishupal, by Sri Krishna, and now the other one will be killed. So that is Dantavakra. So Dantavakra had three very close friends. So Shishupal obviously was one of them, and the other two were Paundraka and Shalva. Shalva. So Shalva is or got killed in the previous chapter, 77. Okay, so we will probably deal with the killing of Shalva sometime later. But he is the last of the four, Shishupal, Shalva, Paundraka, and Dantavakra. So he's the last man standing, so to say. And when Shalva is killed finally by Lord Krishna, he becomes very enraged and he comes running towards Lord Sri Krishna to kill him. So one of the things is that if you see Shishupal, how he was killed, Makrant Prabhu?
Sudarshan Chakra.
Sudarshan Chakra, very nice. And you may not know, do you know how Shalva was killed? No. Okay. And Paundraka? No. So they both were also killed with Sudarshan Chakra. All right. So he thought, Dantavakra thought that the power of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu is in the Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra is the source of the power of Lord Krishna. It's actually the other way around, isn't it? Sudarshan Chakra gets the power from Bhagawan, not the other way around. So he challenged Lord Krishna to fight with a gada. He thought like Lord Krishna is Kshatriya, isn't it? By this time, everybody knows Krishna is Kshatriya. He's from the Kshatriya family of Vasudeva. So, if you challenge a Kshatriya king, and he is the king of Dwarka, so if you challenge the king of Dwarka with a particular weapon, then he's supposed to respond with that weapon. He cannot, like, it's not fair. Even though Lord Krishna is not famous for being fair, but still he thought that he will honor the Kshatriya code. So he challenges Lord Krishna with his gada and on a one-on-one battle. So that's what will happen. Anyway, so in the third verse, or in the second verse, Dantavakra, when he sees Lord Krishna, he becomes very happy. He says, I'm so happy to see you. There are two meanings. One is like a demoniac happiness, that he's happy to see the opponent and he will kill. But Sri Sridhar Swami gives the reason that he knows now that it's time for him to go back to Vaikuntha. And he is happy because he is seeing the Lord. He knows he's going to get killed. And he is ready to complete his pastime. So I think that's in the fourth verse. Let me open up Veda base on my end. Yeah, in the fourth verse he says, one sec. Yeah. Okay. So in the fourth verse, he becomes very happy on seeing Lord Sri Krishna. So, and then he says that I am going to kill you today. And the other thing is that the reason why he wants to, he's trying to fight Sri Krishna is to also complete his debt of protecting his or avenging the death of his friends. So all these are material debts that one carries. So it is the duty of Dantavakra to complete his debt towards his friends. His friends had protected him, so it is his duty to avenge their deaths. So that is the other reason given why he wants to fight Lord Sri Krishna and wants to kill, or at least declare that he wants to kill Lord Krishna. Yeah, so he attacks Lord Krishna, and he insults or hurls insulting words towards Lord Krishna. I'm going a little fast. Today might be a short class. That's okay. And then Dantavakra hits the Lord on his head with his big gada. So Lord Krishna is not at all impacted by it. He keeps standing as it is. And then Lord Krishna hits back Dantavakra with his Kaumodaki Gada. So the name of the Gada of Lord Sri Krishna is Kaumodaki. It's a very, very massive and very famous Gada. And using that, just with one blow of the Kaumodaki Gada on the chest of Dantavakra, he dies immediately. And then as soon as he dies, a spark of light, a jyoti, comes out from the heart or from the body of Dantavakra and enters into the body of Sri Krishna, just like it happened to Shishupal. And everybody who was present could see that. So he finally goes back to the spiritual world and attains his position. So that's what happens in the first 10 verses of this chapter. That is the killing of Dantavakra. Then that was going to be the last demon that was going to be killed by Lord Krishna. But he happened to have a younger brother named Vidūratha. So he, out of his, so it is said it's beneficial to be a, brother of a demon. If the demon gets killed by Krishna, then the brother also attacks Krishna. He wants to also follow his elder brother. And so he attacks Lord Krishna as well. And then this time Krishna has no obligation to not use the Sudarshan Chakra. So with his Sudarshan Chakra, he kills Vidūratha as well. And that establishes the supremacy of Lord's Sudarshan Chakra. So Vidūratha is also killed. And at this point, Lord Sri Krishna puts aside all his weapons. So Putana was the first demon that was killed by Lord Krishna. And Vidūratha is the last demon that is killed by Lord Krishna. And that is why when Lord puts aside his weapons after killing Vidūratha, then Lord declares that I will not pick up weapons again. And that's why in the Mahabharata war, the Lord does not pick up any weapons. Okay. So we are at this verse, this chapter has 40 verses. We are at verse number 12. Then 13 to 15, 3 verses, the Lord is praised by all the celestial beings. The Devatas, Gandharvas, and so many, they all praise and glorify the Lord. And then the Lord goes back to Dwarka Puri, to his capital Dwarka. Now in that, so the Sanskrit there is viveśālaṅkṛtāṁ purīm. So let me show that to you. I will open database specific. Right here. Yeah, I hope you can see this. 13 to 15. viveśālaṅkṛtāṁ purīm. And what is the meaning of viveśālaṅkṛtāṁ purīm? Vivesha, he entered. Alankritam, जैसे अलंकार किया हुआ, means decorated. Purīm, and his capital Dwarka, Dwarka Puri. But Shri Jiva Goswami says the whole mystery is behind this one word, Puri. Okay, so which Puri did he enter? It is not mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. And at that time, there are two Puris that are present. One is Dwarka Puri and one is Mathura Puri. Now, all the Mathura itself has been transported to Dwarka. That has happened earlier in Srimad Bhagavatam, around the 50th chapter. So, all that is left of Dwarka Puri, Mathura Puri, is Sri Vrindavan Dham. So, this is the point where after killing of Dantavakra and Vidūratha, that happened right one after the other, Lord Krishna goes back to Vrindavan. So that is not mentioned in Bhagavatam. The standard explanation, even Sri Sridhar Swami goes with the line of thought that this Puri is Dwarka Puri, and that is the main line of thought. But Sri Jiva Goswami brings out this point. And he brings out this point on the strength of the next verse. The next verse is the most significant verse of this chapter. So this is the translation of the 15th, 13 to 15. So Makarand Prabhu, can you read this?
Yeah. Having thus destroyed Shalva and his Saubha heirship, along with Dantavakra and his younger brother, all of whom were invincible before any other opponent, the Lord was praised by demigods, human beings, and great sages, by Siddhas, Gandharvas, Vidyadhars, and Mahoragas, and also by Apsaras, Pitas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, and Charanas. As they sang his glories and showered him with flowers, the Supreme Lord entered his festively decorated capital city in the company of the most eminent Vrishnis.
All right. So that is what happens here. Now let us see the next verse. Okay. So very nice verse. Evam Yogeshwaraha Krishno Bhagavan Jagadishwaraha Iyate Pashu Drishtinam. So this is a very important word. Pashu Drishtinam. Nirjito Jayati Tisaha. So Bhagavan is being called by Bhagavan Krishna, who killed Dantavakra and Vidūratha just now, is being called by three more names. First is Yogeshwara. Am I sharing, by the way? Yeah. Yeah, you were reading from it. Okay, good. So, yeah, Yogeshwar, that is the first. Yogeshwar means he is the Ishwar of yoga, of mystic power. So, there is some mysticism here, means thoda, matlab dal mein kala, matlab or whatever. The mystic, he entered Puri, but which Puri did he enter? Not clear. Okay, so there is mysticism here. Then he is Bhagawan. He is the Supreme Lord. He's not just the Supreme Mystic. He is Bhagawan. And he is Jagat Ishwaraha. He is the master of the material world. of the material universes. So he is all these things. He is Bhagawan. He is the master of the material world, which means that he can change the laws of the material world if he wants to, by his supreme mystic power, Yogeshwara. So all these are pointing to the fact that truth may not be what is visible unto the eye. Okay? And then Sri Sukadeva Goswami goes on to say, Iyate pashu drishtina, people with pashu drishti. So what is the meaning of drishti? Not just eyes, but what you actually see is with your intelligence. You may see something like an optical illusion or whatever, but if you look at it with intelligence, then you will see the reality. So seeing is not just by the eyes, but also by one's intelligence. So one who does not have that intelligence or that intellect, he cannot see. Okay, nirjito jayata iti saha. So one who cannot see with intelligence cannot see that the Lord is always victorious. The Lord never gets defeated. So the standard straightforward meaning is just one verse of glorification of the Lord, because the previous verse was saying that all these were, they sang his glories and showered flowers on him. And you can think that this is one of the verses of glorification of Sri Krishna, because the demons think they can kill Krishna, but can demons kill Krishna actually? No. They think like that, and then they are proved false. Ultimately, the Lord ends up killing the demons. So they don't realize that the Lord is invincible, is always victorious, and they have their ill-founded plans to kill Bhagawan. Right? There is another meaning. So by the way, so let's read this translation. Shalu Mataji, kindly read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thus, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all mystic power and Lord of the universe, is ever victorious. Only those of beastly vision think he sometimes suffers defeat. Oh, I cannot see. Yeah, that's so. Sorry.
Only those of beastly vision, pashu drishtina. Only they think that the Lord is defeated, but he never gets defeated. Okay. So there is a very, on this verse, there is long purport by Sri Jiva Goswami. Long purport means the purport itself is more than the chapter itself. It's almost double. It's probably the longest purport of Sri Jiva Goswami of entire Srimad Bhagavatam. There is one more purport by Sri Jiva Goswami of very, very long length, which is in the Navada Bhakti section in 7th Canto. Also massive purport where Sri Jiva Goswami gives whole process of performing bhakti. It's almost like a small book over there. Similarly, here also it's a small book of establishing the position of Sri Krishna. And that is the reason why I have selected this chapter. Much of the discussion from this chapter is going to come from the commentary to this purport. Commentary to this purport of this verse by Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, mainly those two. Yeah. So, what is the meaning here? So, another meaning here is that the Lord never suffers defeat, even at the, or only those of beastly or animal, Pashu Drishti, think that he sometimes suffers defeat. Again, the standard line of thinking here, example that is given is of Jarasandha. That Lord fled as if he was afraid, or he accepted defeat, or he was coward. Kya naam? Ranchhor. He fled from Jarasandha. So many speculators say that he got defeated And obviously Jarasandha also himself used to advertise the fact that how Krishna was afraid of him. But Bhagwan always has a purpose behind all his actions. And there is never a case when Lord says something and doesn't do. The Lord is completely truthful. We just have to see the consistency between his words and his actions. So only the devotees can see the consistency between the Lord's words and actions. The demons cannot see that. So that's why we have all these seminars. For example, Hari Parshad Prabhu comes and explains, when the Lord steals butter, is he actually stealing? No, he's not stealing. Or when he is having pastimes with the married gopis, is that a bad thing? Or is that a matter of parakiya rasa? And how much higher that bhav, parakiya bhav is than swakiya bhav. So all that has very, very deep meanings, extremely deep meanings. So similarly, here also, what is being pointed by Sri Jiva Goswami is that when Bhagwan said, I will come back to Vrindavan, didn't he say that? He said that directly to the gopis, and he also said directly to Nanda Baba. The Gopas and Nanda Baba and all had accompanied all the way to Mathura. The gopis were left behind. At that time, he said, I will come back. Then when Nanda Baba, after killing Kamsa and all that, Lord Krishna told Nanda Baba, Aap jaiye, please go, I will come back later. Let me visit some of my, Vasudev Baba, Devaki Maiya. They have not had my company for such a long time. They were in prison. And I was, playing with all of you. Let me make them happy for some time. I will come back. So Bhagwan says, I will come back. Now, is Bhagwan lying? So yes, there is, and again, we have heard so many times that Bhagwan lied. And in the Bhagavatam, there is no direct confirmation that Bhagwan comes back. Now, there is one direct confirmation. I think I have told it already in first canto. We'll come to that. But Shri Jiva Goswami points out here that all this is being said. We think that the Lord lied. And there is this big question, why did Lord give so much suffering to the Vrajvasis? Why he did not come back? Why he sent only Balramji? He sent Balramji to Vrindavan. Balramji spent time. That is documented in Bhagavatam. He sent Uddhavji also. So that is also documented, but he himself never went. So why is that? And that gives pain to many devotees that Bhagwan is so cruel, he is so heartless. That is not the case. That would be Pashu Drishti. To think that Bhagwan is cruel or he doesn't care for his most beloved devotees. Of course, it is a matter of rasa as well. But at the same time, looking at, there are multiple angles. There is no one correct angle. All multiple angles are correct. So one angle is that to enhance the separation, the Lord created this separation to enhance the love, the bhav. And the other understanding is that the Lord did not lie. The Lord did come back. And that whole coming back of the Lord is hidden behind this one word. What is the one word? Viveśālaṅkṛtāṁ purīm. So he entered the decorated city. And one can think this alankar means decorated, but not decorated with jewels. Decorated with what? Decorated with love. And then this purīm would become Mathura Puri. And one can say Puri. Puri means a big city. Like we say Jagannath Puri, Dwarka Puri, most appropriate name would be Dwarka Puri. Hastinapuri, Hastinapur, right? So big city like metro. But Vrindavan is the Puri of love. And to further substantiate this fact that this Puri, now we will go into this, because I have read that long purport. In the chapter where Balramji goes to Vrindavan, that is documented in Bhagavatam. 100% it is there. There also the name Mathura Puri is used. But we know that Balramji did not go to Mathura. He went to Vrindavan. He met the gopis, he met the gopas. All that is there. He spent 2 months in Vrindavan. But the word used is Mathura Puri. So same word is used. So all these are evidences that, we are not just making it up, or Jiva Goswami is making up from that one word. He's trying to do some extra, खींच तान के किसी तरह से फिट कर दिया, मतलब ना, कहते हैं ना, कुछ ज्यादा ही एक्स्ट्रा खींच दिया, इतना हम क्या ज्यादा ही फेंक दिया, तिकल्ला लपेट नहीं पाए. So it's not that at all. So all these justifications are given to prove that this was in the heart of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. And this, again, I'm probably covering some parts of the commentary, the Tika by Sri Jiva Goswami, but it's also given there why Sri Sukadeva Goswami did not go into that. Because that subsequent meeting between Krishna and the Vrajvasis was so emotional and so full of love that Sukadeva Goswami would not have been able to convey it fully. That's why, if you remember long back, 1 year back or something, I can't remember, we did the whole pastime of Kurukshetra, which comes a little bit afterward from here, 82nd chapter. There also the meeting between Sri Krishna and the gopis is very superficially explained. If you remember, the meeting was more like, oh, do you remember me? And just some kind of just very high level talk between Krishna and the gopis, because Sri Sukadeva Goswami could not go deeper than that. It would have been too emotional for him to go into it. So here also he completely skips it and goes on to the next pastime, which is of Romaharṣaṇa Sutta. So all these details and all we will cover in the next couple of classes. But that is the sort of the main sweet or the main crux of this chapter, which is not in the chapter. So on the surface of it, this chapter looks just fairly straightforward. Killing of 2 demons, Dantavakra and Vidūratha, and by Sri Krishna. And then Sri Krishna goes to Puri, ? Puri, and then Balramji pastime begins. Okay, so that is yeah. So we were talking about speculators. So speculators may say Krishna lied, he never kept his word, he's cruel, he didn't care for his topmost devotees who gave everything for him, he made them suffer. Not correct. Okay, yes, there was long separation, but Lord Krishna does go back, and Sri Jiva Goswami explains that. And you must all remember this one verse from the first canto, where have I mentioned it ever in a class to all of you? That first canto verse. How many of you don't know of it? Don't know. Some of you know. I know I have mentioned. Anybody knows where in Bhagavatam it is mentioned that Sri Krishna went back to Vrindavan? Other than Shyamlila Mataji. Nobody? Never mentioned? Where does Krishna say, or where not Krishna, where in the Bhagavatam it is said that Krishna went back to Vrindavan directly? Here also in this verse, it is indirect, purīm. Which puri we don't know, and the standard understanding is Dwarka puri. Where it is mentioned, and I'm surprised I have never mentioned it to anyone else. Meera Mataji, Sarvashakti Mataji, never? Okay, Shamlila Mataji, which one it is?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it is that verse, I think, wherein Kunti Maharani is saying that when you go to Vrindavan and like our hearts are very like disturbed or sad whenever you go to Vrindavan. I think it's in the 14th chapter, if I'm not wrong.
Little bit mixing up, Mataji. So not Kunti
Sure.
Maharani, but the residents of Dwarka.
The residents of Dwarka say that when he's, sorry.
So always remember this verse, one of the most hidden verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1:11:9. Okay. So 1:11:9. So this is when Lord Krishna is coming back to Dwarka after Mahabharata war. That's how first canto begins. Mahabharata war ends. After that, Pandava's sons are killed. Ashwathama tries to kill Parikshit Maharaj. He's saved by Krishna. And after all that happens, then Krishna goes to Bhishma Dev in his moment of passing away. All that happens, and then Lord Krishna leaves Hastinapur and enters Dwarka. When he's entering Dwarka, then this verse is there where the residents of Dwarka are welcoming Krishna, and they are saying that whenever you go to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives. So directly it is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, that the residents of Dwarka are saying whenever you go to Mathura, Vrindavan, and there is no Mathura, like I said. All the residents of Mathura have been moved to Dwarka already. So why would the Dwarka vasis say about Mathura? They are themselves the previous Mathura vasis. So what is left over in Mathura Mandal is simply Vrindavan. And of course, he goes to Hastinapur to meet the Pandavas. So here it clearly shows that he goes to Vrindavan. Whenever you go, so it's not just once, it's multiple times. He has been to Vrindavan. Krishna goes to Vrindavan. And whenever he goes anywhere from Dwarka, Dwarka vasis become sad. That is the point of the verse, that we become sad when you go to outside places such as Vrindavan, Hastinapur, etc. But it is a proof in Bhagavatam that Krishna goes to Vrindavan. So don't let anybody tell you that in Bhagavatam it is not mentioned that Krishna goes to Vrindavan. It is mentioned right here in Bhagavatam. You can remember this, 1:11:9. 9:11, you can always remember it by 9:11. First canto, 9:11 or 11:9 in Indian way. Okay, 11th of September. Date and then month. So like that, you can remember this verse. It's always there. Purun madhun vatha suhrid didikshaya. So when you go to meet your dear ones, suhrid, in the Kurus or in the place of the Kurus, which is Hastinapur, and madhun in the Mathurapuri. Okay. So this is there. Anyway, so Lord Krishna's words are never false. He always tells the truth. There is never when he tells false, he lies. There is a purpose behind even he appears to lie. And only the devotees are able to realize the purpose. The demoniac people or the atheists or speculators, the Pashu Drishti, that is what is the 16th verse, Pashu Drishti, they cannot realize. Okay. So that's why 16th verse is a very, very significant verse of this whole chapter. And that is why Jiva Goswami and Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have written almost one entire book as the commentary. Mainly Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur much shorter commentary, but it's summary of Jiva Goswami's commentary. And the BBT commentary is based on Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary. So they have covered the synopsis, but I will go over in detail Sri Jiva Goswami's commentary in the subsequent classes. Okay. Now the rest of the chapter, 17 to 40, is basically pastime of Balramji. So maybe that one we can also discuss later after discussing the Jiva Goswami's commentary in subsequent discussions. But there, Balramji took a neutral position in the war, in the Mahabharata war. And this is also a point of discussion. We will discuss it in some detail as to why Balramji was neutral, or more specifically, why Balramji was favorable to Duryodhana. He accepted Duryodhana as his disciple. He even wanted to marry his sister Subhadra, mother or Lady Subhadra, to Duryodhana. And then Lord Krishna and Arjuna come up with this sort of undercover plan to kidnap Subhadra, just like Lord Krishna kidnapped Rukmini Devi. Just in the last minute, Arjuna kidnaps Subhadra Devi. So like that. So why did, in that case, Shishupal or Rukmi wanted Rukmini Devi to marry Shishupal. But in this case, Balramji, he's Bhagawan. Why he wants to marry Subhadra Devi to such a demoniac person? Or why is he so affectionate to Duryodhana? We'll try to discuss that also in detail. Okay. Anyway, so that is why he took a neutral position in the Mahabharata war, and he went on pilgrimage. So when he was going on pilgrimage, I'll quickly narrate this and we can end the class a little early today. He went on pilgrimage to many areas. And finally, he reached Naimisharanya on the banks of river Ganga. So in Naimisharanya, the rishis were performing a huge yajna. We had covered this in first canto, 4th chapter. The rishis were busy preparing for yajna and all that, and not busy, they were actually preparing for doing the yajna. And then Suta Goswami enters, if you remember. So they were preparing to do this yajna and all that. It was going to begin. And then Balramji arrives in Naimisharanya. Everybody knows, so it's not secret. Okay, so he's not like a secret and then they don't know who he is, not like that. Okay, everybody knows that it is Balramji, he is the Supreme Lord and so on. Not like the Brahmanas of Brahman Patnis, where they thought that, oh, these are just cowherd boys and why should we give them food? That was not these Brahmanas at the yajna were not like those Brahmanas at the yajna. They were different. These were perfectly knowledgeable Brahmanas. So the moment they saw Balramji, they all got up and gave complete his Swam Sankarshan, first expansion of Sri Krishna or Bhagawan. So they gave like wonderful respect. They did pranam, they glorified him, they did archana also, they did worship, arti, archana, the complete archana paddhati, full with all the paraphernalia, everything they did to Bhagavan, to Balaramji. All this, so I'm trying to say all this because of a reason, that the main person who was going to speak in that assembly was Romaharṣaṇa Suta. He kept sitting. All right. He keeps sitting. Imagine, in Sunday feast class, okay, if you are in the temple, there is a speaker who's going to speak the class. And for some reason, like timing got delayed or whatever, it is Aarti time. And the curtain opens in the temple and everybody gets up and does full Aarti of Bhagavan. And the speaker who is going to give the class keeps sitting on his Vyasasan quiet, doesn't even get up, doesn't offer obeisances to Lord, doesn't do anything, just keeps sitting. And the whole other congregation is worshipping the Lord. What will you think of the speaker? And his job is to glorify Bhagavan. So what he's going to talk is about glorifying Bhagavan. But when there was the practical time to demonstrate the glorification of Bhagavan, that time he didn't show it. He didn't demonstrate it, or he didn't practice it, what he's going to preach. All right. So that is a huge mistake, not a mistake, it's an offense. So one of the things, people think, so then what happens? I mean, long story short, Balramji gets very angry at him, not angry as out of matsarya or out of envy or out of any, but only to teach him a lesson. Lord Balaramji kills him. Now, with a kusha grass, with a blade of grass. It's a very sharp type of grass, almost like, bamboo sticks, or very sharp. So he kills him with that, not with any weapon. So very gentle killing, so to say. Now, this arises many questions in minds of the people who are, again, not fully intelligent, so to say, like myself or many people, who may think, oh, this is very disproportionate punishment. And this is part of it is because of our sort of modern culture, modern understanding. You don't need to get up. You don't need to give respect. In older culture, I used to touch the feet of my parents or elders. These days, that whole culture is lost. We are becoming more modern, means let alone touch the feet. It's okay to keep sitting and the elder is standing. Or when you are talking, you don't need to get up. You can keep sitting. The senior person is standing. This is all part of modern culture, but it is not considered respectful. So that's why I was giving that example of Sunday feast. The speaker is sitting, whole aarti is happening, and he continues to sit. Everybody is standing, glorifying the Lord. He is just sitting quiet. It's a very, very offensive behavior. And who is Romaharṣaṇa Suta? Another important point need to be understood. Who is Romaharṣaṇa Suta? Have anybody heard the name Romaharṣaṇa Suta? Before? In classes I have given clearly. Yes, Meera Mataji.
Is he Suta Goswami's father?
That is correct. But where have you heard of him before? Anybody remembers? Shamdila Mataji.
That he wrote one of the Vedas. I don't much.
wrote one of the Vedas. Okay. You remember Shamlila Mataji? No?
No, Prabhuji, I'm blanking out.
Okay. So let me show. So we had studied this long back. So we go back to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, and we go to 4th chapter. So what is happening in 4th chapter? What is going on?
Congregation.
Congregation, but what is the main topic of 4th chapter? Congregation is not the main topic. The main topic of 4th chapter is lamentation of Vyasadeva. After compiling all the Vedic literature, he feels empty or dissatisfied. So as part of this, you will see here that he first documented all the Vedas. The 4 divisions of the original sources of the knowledge were made separately. He divided them. And then he wrote the 5th Veda, which is the Puranas. And then it goes on to say he wrote Mahabharata and all that. And he divided the Vedas into 4 divisions, made the head of departments of each Veda, right? Paila Rishi became the professor. Professor means main. Said, now you go and disseminate Rig Veda to the entire community, entire humanity. You make your own disciples, you come up with a system of teaching, all that. Jaimini was made the professor of Samaveda. Vaishampayan became the professor of Yajurveda. And Angira Muni was entrusted with Atharva Veda. And then Puranas. Who was made head of department of Puranas? It was, now Suta Goswami is saying this, my father, Romaharṣaṇa Suta. Suta was like a family name or like a surname. I will explain the meaning of Suta. Was entrusted with the Puranas and Itihasas. By far the almost 100 times the volume wise, it is 100 times the Vedas. So actually, Romaharṣaṇa Suta, so he's a disciple of Vyasadeva. Am I sharing the screen? Yeah. He's a disciple of Vyasadeva, and he was the best disciple of Vyasadeva. The best, number 1, by far. But you all know that Vedas cannot be, but he was not a pure Brahman by birth. Jati Brahmana jise kehte hain. Because his father was a Kshatriya and his mother was a Brahmana. So he was half Brahmana, half Kshatriya. So it could not be, he could not be entitled to read or study the Vedas or even teach the Vedas. If you cannot study, you cannot teach either. So simply because of that defect, so to say, he was not given the Vedas to teach. But he was given something more important than the Vedas, the Smritis. Vedas are the Shrutis. The entire Smritis was given to Sri Romaharṣaṇa Suta. So Suta is the surname given to a half Brahmana, half Kshatriya. So that is called Suta. This is described by Sri Sridhar Swami. So I'm taking this directly from the commentary of Sri Sridhar Swami. So that is why he was given the Puranas. Otherwise, he would have been given the Rig Veda, the number 1 Veda. Okay. So Romaharṣaṇa, why I'm saying this is because Romaharṣaṇa was a very top class scholar, which means his knowledge, his intellect was top class. But Balramji says in the verses that he's top class scholar, he agrees, but behavior wise, zero. He did not learn anything from the Vedas. He was just a good teacher. He didn't walk his talk. That is the problem. And therefore, this disrespect shown by Romaharṣaṇa Sutta needs a very severe punishment because of his position. So why I'm explaining all this is to show the position of Romaharṣaṇa Sutta is so high. When you have such a huge responsibility on your head, then even a small mistake you cannot commit. And if you commit a small mistake, the penalty has to be very high. Okay? Just like you and I can say bad things. But if the President of United States says, now these days that may not be true, but at least the standard is that, you should be able to tell your children to emulate the behavior of the president. If your children use bad words, you should say, look at the president. So many people are attacking him by words. He is not saying a bad word. Today, that is not true, but at some point it used to be true. Or if the president does a small mistake, what did Nixon do, Richard Nixon? He changed some tape or something, that whatever that Watergate scandal. He was impeached. He was not impeached. He resigned before that, but next day he was going to be impeached. And the vote was not going to be in his favor. Even many of his party people were, it was known to him that they will vote against him. So when he knew that enough number of his own party people, Republicans, were going to oppose him in the impeachment vote, then he resigned to not face the humiliation of impeachment. But in technical terms, he was impeached, or he was sure to be impeached for doing some mistake. If an ordinary person did that, he would have let go with a small penalty. But president had to pay a much big penalty. The point is that if just some small time guy, if he would not have got up, he wouldn't have been killed. But this Romaharṣaṇa Sutta is of such high caliber, at least from his upadhi, from his degree or from his title, that this mistake was really something that needed or deserved a punishment to make an example for others, to set an example. And you will see later that Balramji also did atonement for it. So we'll come to that, but I hope the point is clear as to why Balramji killed or thought that it is appropriate for one second, ant here. So Balramji killed Romaharṣaṇa Sutta. So yeah. And to add to it, Balramji also says, since he's so learned, he knows that he should get up. It's not that he doesn't know. He knows that he should stand up and offer respects to me. Not because of ego, but because Balramji is Bhagawan himself. And so an example needs to be made to teach the people. Then the sages approached Balramji and said that you may not know, but we had blessed him with long life and auspiciousness before you came. But now he is dead. So our blessings have become nullified or have become false. So how should we, and Brahmana's blessings never go false, and Brahmanas go Brahmana hitaya cha. To Bhagawan as well as to Balaramji, Brahmanas and cows are very, very dear. So Brahmanas' blessings never go in vain. And plus, you have killed a half Brahman. He may not be a full Brahman, but at least he is a half Brahman. So killing a Brahman is the highest sin. So killing half Brahman is also a sin. Plus, our blessings have become false. So can you do something about it? To set an example for others as well, that they should not just go around killing Brahmanas. So Balaramji said, yes, you are correct. So you can see the character of Balaramji here. So the purpose of Balaramji is to establish dharma. And that is exactly what he's doing. He wanted to establish dharma by setting an example, or by getting rid of a bad example, which was Romaharṣaṇa Sutta, and himself setting a good example that you cannot go around killing people, Brahmanas and so on, and you cannot make the blessings of other Brahmanas false. So that is why Guru is called Acharya, or one who shows by example. So Balaramji is known as Adi Guru, the first Guru. What is the job of Guru? Or why is Balaramji known as Adi Guru? Anybody knows or can give some thoughts? The primary purpose of Guru is to
Take you closer to Krishna.
Very good. To show the way to Krishna. That is the purpose of Guru. Okay? And anybody who is not, or who is disrespecting Krishna, the job of the Guru is to correct as well. So and to show by his own personal example. So, and also to get rid of false gurus, to show who is a true guru in the true sense. So Romaharṣaṇa Sutta was a false guru in the sense that he was preaching a lot, but he was not acting on his own words. So to get rid of such people and to show the way to Krishna. So yajna was happening, and yajna means one is basically glorifying Krishna or making offerings to Krishna. Yajnapati is Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So the purpose of Guru is to remove all the impediments from the yajna. So that is the one thing. So when he says, what can I do? So the sages say there is this one demon, Balvala. He's coming and disturbing our yajna. Can you kill him? So Balaramji, in the next chapter, 79th chapter, Balaramji kills Balvala, demon, which means he's removing all the impediments between the sages and the worship of Sri Krishna through the yajna. And also he removed the impediment of a false guru and established a true guru. So coming back to that, the sages were saying that our blessings have become false. So then he says, you have two options. He gives them two options. First, he gives one option. He says, okay, I will revive Romaharṣaṇa Sutta. You blessed him with long life. I will bring his life back. And then he can continue. But then the Brahmana said, we cannot go against your wish. one of the other things, we are devotees and you are Bhagawan. We devotees never go against the wish of Bhagawan. So you do something which is both, fulfills both, keeps our blessings intact, as well as keeps your intention of killing Romaharṣaṇa intact. Now, these are mutually exclusive, you know. They gave the blessing of long life. Balramji gave him the blessing of short life, killed him. How can both be met? They sound almost, you know, one or the other. So Balramji proposes that I have a solution. A son is considered to be the sort of the take on the persona of his father. He's born from the body of the father. So, but he is almost, or he takes on the personality or the persona, not personality, but persona of the father. So we have his son, who is none other than Sri Suta Goswami. I will ensure that all your blessings given to Romaharṣaṇa Suta are transferred to his son, Sri Suta Goswami. And he can occupy the chair of your father, of his father. So, by the way, Romaharṣaṇa Suta was sitting on a very high chair known as Brahma Asana. It was the highest asana in the whole assembly. And from there, he was going to address all the, not highest by number of meters or feet, but by position, it was the highest Brahmasana that's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So he said, I will install his son, Suta Goswami, on that same seat, transfer all the blessings, your blessings to him. And from there, you can listen to Suta Goswami. So all the sages got satisfied with that answer. And then Balramji said, what atonement can I do? Now I have killed Romaharṣaṇa Suta. Just like Parashuramji, if you see, after killing 21 generations of Kshatriyas, we studied this in the 82nd chapter, the beginning, how the 5 kundas were created in Kurukshetra by the atonement of Parashuramji. So similarly, Balramji also wanted to undergo attainment. So he said, what atonement I can undertake? So that is when the sages say you can do 1 year of yatra. So he was anyway going on yatra from the war, Mahabharata war. So they said, go along on a yatra of meet all the saintly people, give them your blessings, take bath in the holy waters, and all those things. And that would be your atonement. So Brahmanas blessed Balramji, Balramji blessed the Brahmanas. And then Balramji left after the killing of Balvala, demon. So that is described in the next chapter, which we will not discuss. Maybe sometime later we can discuss. But that is the end of this chapter, where Balramji, this whole killing of Romaharṣaṇa and installing his son, Suta Goswami, and this whole topic of who is a guru, a proper guru. That's a very deep topic. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it in the subsequent classes. But the main essence of this chapter is the Lord's return to Sri Vrindavan Dham, from the writings of Sri Jiva Goswami and Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So we will cover that in the subsequent discussions. All right. So that's today's discussion. Any comments, questions, please feel free to share. Yes, Shamila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, sorry, I am remembering a little faintly from either your class or Haripasha Prabhuji's class about why Balramji is called Adi Guru. Does it have something to do with the Sandhini Shakti, because that is responsible for like all the leelas and the manifestations
Yes.
and the forms?
That is also true. That is correct.
Okay.
So there are multiple reasons. Okay.
Ji, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Ram Prasad Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji. It's a very nice class. Prabhuji,
We cannot hear you. At least I cannot hear you. Can you, Hare Krishna, is anybody else able to hear?
Prabhuji, any better? Any
Yeah,
better?
much better.
Okay. Prabhuji, you said you will touch upon why Balramji was favorable to Duryodhana. Right? I don't know if you plan to cover today or next
No,
time.
not today. In the subsequent classes.
Subsequent. Okay, fine. My other question, I have two more questions, Prabhuji. So I thought in general, during these lectures and all that, Vyasasana, or in this case, the Brahmasana, would have a higher precedence. So I don't know if Romaharṣaṇa, I understand Lord's, arrangement that, he wanted to install Suta Goswami and all that, but I mean, Balramji having ego kind of a thing, demonstrably, and then Vyasasana, the person sitting there, should he have gotten up is one question, Prabhu.
So what's the question? Because that's the whole point I was explaining for last 20 minutes.
Well, whether Roma Sutta, whether Muni really committed an offense.
Obliged to get up, or was it okay for him to keep sitting? Is that your question?
Yeah. Yes. Is it not okay for him to keep sitting because he is conducting a class?
No, he's not. Wait a minute. The class is for whom? The class is to glorify Bhagawan. And Bhagawan himself has arrived there. Okay.
I see. Okay.
And he is the professor of all the Smritis. How can he not know that there is no difference between Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna? They are one and the same. And Bhagawan himself has arrived. It's the same classic question as the Brahmanas of 23rd chapter. You attended some part of those discussions?
Yeah. Understood, Prabhu. Okay.
They were doing yajna, and yajna is meant, even though they were doing yajna for going to Swarga, but at least when you are doing a yajna, the receiver, aham sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. Bhagavad Gita 9.24. So of all the possible yajnas, the Lord is being glorified, or you're trying to satisfy the Lord. And Lord has come and you disrespect him. No Shruti or Smriti approves that.
Got it.
Someone else would have come. Okay, then it may have been justified. But here, Bhagavan himself is coming. Okay?
I had another question.
Also, one second. And also, all the other Brahmanas, everybody else in the whole assembly got up and not only paid respects, but did full worship of Balramji. Okay? So were they all wrong in doing that? And only Romaharṣaṇa Suta is the most, righteous person that he should not do that? And all these 88,000 Brahmanas who are in the assembly, they are all wrong? Even they would that, yes, class is going on, we should keep sitting.
Understood. Yeah, you already said, Romaharṣaṇa, he didn't walk his words and all that. Understood, Prabhu.
So there was pride in his heart.
Right, understood.
Balramji says that, it's there in the Bhagavatam. When we go verse by verse, we will read that Balramji will say that he is very prideful and he does not know the meaning of the Shastra. He knows the Shastra, but he does not know how to apply it.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, that was it.
Prabhuji, the other question is, for Balramji, to seek atonement versus, being away from the war instead of being next to Sri Krishna. How do we understand that? I mean, Balramji felt the need of atoning, of, being of a higher significance than being next to Krishna in the war.
Next to Krishna means what? Krishna is Swayam Bhagawan. He doesn't need Balramji for any kind of support.
Correct, but
and plus there is the fact that he was neutral in the war. So there are multiple angles. Balramji is always with Sri Krishna to support him and assist him. However, in this particular case, looking at it as Balaramji as a separate personality, he wanted to be neutral in the war. And that is mentioned in this chapter itself, that because he was neutral, he wanted to leave the capital, or the place of battle. So being close to Lord Krishna is not that important in this case. Okay. All right. So we'll pause here and we'll continue next time in the detailed version of the chapter, with the most focus being on the commentary of Sri Jiva Goswami of the 16th verse. All right. Srimad Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.